Check one, check one. Looks like we're on. Feels like we're on. Are we on? Hey, 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 hey. How's everybody doing today? What's that $1 million question? How's my sound? Hi folks, this is Mike Meyers presenting his newly formulated now Monday, Wednesday, and Friday Ask Me Anything. The goal of this live stream is simply to provide an opportunity for those of us who are hidden away by the coronavirus, an opportunity to ask questions and to be able to work with the CompTIA IT fundamentals, A+, Net+, Security+, and beyond if needed. So this is where you guys have to ask me questions. So the first thing I want to stress, and we've been doing this for a while, and I haven't stressed this enough, and that is I need you guys to ask me questions. And we will run up to 2 hours per day on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Or we run until the 2 o'clock or the questions run out, whichever comes first. So probably one thing you want to be thinking about going forward is having questions prepared. Now, with that attitude in mind, also keep in mind is that you are also always welcome to send me questions. If you feel your question is more complex and maybe I might need to bring in some props or some tools, well, feel free to just email me a question. You can use either one of those email addresses at the top. The top one is my work one, the bottom one is my personal, but I read them both equally, so it's not like one's better than the other. My Steam account is Senor Pepe if you're a gamer at all. That's my office phone number. I would ask that you try to email me when at all possible. Odds are good that I will send you my cell phone number once we find out what this is all about, but you can get a hold of me through that 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but you'll have to go through a screener, and she's a pretty tough one. Now, when in doubt, you can always look up the term DesWeds for anything from my Skype account to my Venmo account's in there probably too. But anyway, that's how to get a hold of me. So let's make sure we understand, and we should take advantage of, really, we've been doing 5 hours a week, so we're going to kick it up to 6. Depending on how the questions go, but you do need to ask questions. So, all right. First of all, just because you guys were kind enough to show up today, Total Seminars is offering, we have a new discount this week. So this week we are offering 50% off of all of our CompTIA practice tests. So that's going to be A+, Net+, Security+, IT Fundamentals, CySA, Cloud+, and PenTest. Not bad, and that's 50% off. That's just the practice questions. That doesn't include simulations. In order to take advantage of that, you want to use code MMLive518, and that's going to be good all this week. So keep that in mind, please, and do take advantage of that. Also, keep in mind, if you're an instructor who's teaching an active CompTIA class, Total Seminars is ready to roll out the red carpet for you. Now, you do have to really be a teacher at like a real school, and you do have to have active classes that are being affected by coronavirus, and we are prepared to give away all kinds of stuff to schools that need help. To sweeten the pot, depending on what the situation might be, there's even a possibility we can give away free books. Now, I need to be real careful with this. McGraw-Hill has made it pretty difficult to do that. And you have to start by being a legitimate school, and you have to be a legitimate instructor just to even open that conversation up, and even then it can be tough. So be aware that that's out there, and that's it for you. But anyway, so let's go ahead and let's start seeing what some kind of questions are out there. I do have one question that came in about APIPA that we're going to be dealing with today, but let's see what's happening here. Geraldine Byrne is here. Christopher, it's your birthday. Hey, happy birthday, man. 21, finally old enough to drink. Tolowitz here, Joe's here, Brendan's here, Angel Frias. You sound new, good to see you. Thanks again, Dave, letting me know the sound's good. You really have you guys have no idea how much you weren't here, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we had a little situation where I was almost 10 minutes late because I lost a battery and a mic. You know, it kills me. This thing with batteries today drives me insane. You know, you want to get a Nest wireless doorbell with a camera built in and it has a battery. I don't want to put batteries in things like, I don't know, doorbells. I don't want to put batteries in things like, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff out there that has batteries today that didn't used to have batteries. And I walk around literally with boxes of like AA's all the time now, CR302s, little round ones, just because stuff that never needed batteries before, all of a sudden I go through like crazy amounts of batteries, like ridiculous amounts of batteries. AA's, AAA's, CR302, CR3202, somebody's going to correct me. That's not the right number, but I'm close. The little round batteries that you see on motherboards and everything else. Go through tons of those. And you know, I've actually kind of been pushing back. As much as I love technology, and I do love technology, there's a certain point where there's a kind of a diminishing return. And yeah, if I have to buy something with a battery in it, I got to really think about it these days. I mean, unless it's a flashlight or a portable radio. Anyway, so lots of good hellos here. See you guys out here. I read a great article just today. If you use Firefox, it will come with a feature called Pocket, P-O-C-K-E-T, which basically they throw interesting articles on your front page. And I had this fascinating article about why I can't stand Zoom meetings anymore. And I was like, man, I know the feeling. It was a gal was writing this, and she's like, you know, you can't really meet anybody on their eye line is one thing that drives people crazy. So either, you know, you're not looking at them if you're looking at the camera, or if you're looking at the monitor, then you're not, you know what I mean? I get it backwards, but you know what I mean. And the lack of physicality with people, because you don't get the right to turn away from them. Like if you're at a party and you were at the same, you got a Zoom meeting, there's 9 other people. And usually at a party, you talk to this person or these two or whatever it is. But with Zoom, you're constantly exposed to everybody at once. And she found that irritating. And I was like, testify, sister, because man, the bloom is off the rose for me in Zoom. I like Zoom, and we're actually working very hard to get it integrated into these live streams. I'm going to bring some nice, fun celebrity people on board for us to talk to. Well, nerd celebrities. And so, I mean, I love the tool. I'm not judging the tool. I use it for my yoga classes twice a week. My yoga instructor teaches me on Zoom. So I like Zoom. It has a social aspect that is quickly reminding me how much I miss going to parties with friends. How's that for an answer? Anyway, if you get why I'm sick of Zoom, if you Google that, I'm sure it'll pop right up. It's a great article. Looking for new names. Lots of good old names. See the usual gang here. Angel Frias. Hello from Germany. Angel, with a name like Angel Frias, I assumed you were German. Mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. Although I'm pretty sure I know how to order 2 beers and ask for a bathroom in probably 15 languages. Thomas Herm, you're out of hibernation. Good, good. JC Denton's from Nebraska. Welcome, JC. So Greg Davis got to check out Network Chuck. Yeah, he's a nice guy. It was fun that he dropped in on our thing. Nintendo Finky's back from South Africa. How are you? Man, Nintendo, and I need some pinotage, brother. Okay, here we go. Patrick Velas. Oh, Patrick, you ask me questions, I always get scared. Hi, Mike. Going through your practice exams for 1002, there are questions like how to get device manager, for example, and options. Is this really going to be on exam? How to get to device? Probably. Yeah, I got to be careful about what I say here. There's not many pathing questions left, Patrick. We think they're all gone, but we're not positive. It's not like I have a list of every A+ question, you know what I mean? So until we reach a point of comfort that we don't see any more pathing questions on the A+, we'll keep a couple around. Also, though, keep in mind, I think that you're talking about a device manager in particular, and device manager, that's a hotkey question. And there's definitely hotkey questions on the A+. Angel Frias, how are the online proctored CompTIA? Angel, we've heard nothing, almost completely good stuff. We've had many, I don't have a number, not quite 50, more than 20 people who have done it. Only 2 have mentioned lack of success. In one case, there was a system lockup, and he was pretty much paid back. He was reimbursed and everything. And the other lady who's disappeared, I haven't seen her come back, was a gal who I think that she was trying to plug something in during the test, which is like the biggest no-no you could do, like plugging in or even pulling out thumb drives or anything like that. And I think she got schnookered on that. And but everybody else is pretty good. So yeah, Geraldine Berna, no more 60% discount. No, Geraldine, what happens is our salespeople just make different discounts every week. So sometimes it's 50 on this, sometimes 60 on that. You know, so it always works out one way or another. Dominic Mallow, hi Mike, I passed A+, Net+, Security+, and working on PenTest thanks to you. Wow, Dominic, well done, brother. That's amazing. I've never taken the PenTest Plus. We've got a great instructor for it, and well, there you go. C-Plus Man 2009, old enough to drink. Good to hear about it. Hakeem, welcome. Greg Davis, McGraw-Hill is strict. Yeah, they got to. Well, the problem was for years, Greg, with these instructor copies, is that you guys, let's just say you teachers abuse the privilege, and you know, there's stories of McGraw-Hill salespeople coming into a teacher's classroom and find all their McGraw-Hill books are used to, you know, chalk up a desk or stack up on, you know, a video projector on top and stuff like that. So 3023, thanks, great. I knew I had it wrong. So yeah, Greg, they're making it tougher to get books, the freebie books as instructors. The other thing that instructors were doing is they would get a bunch of books, not just McGraw-Hill, they'd be all the different books from all the different competing publishers, and they would sell them. And that's what really kind of hurt that whole universe. I remember 20 years ago, you'd go to a book fair and they would have these used booksellers. These are not like half-price books like that. These were really public entities. They would sell to like bookstores and things like that. And it'd be pretty tough. You're selling one book and then all of a sudden this guy's got 10 copies of the same book. And you knew that he got those books from teachers who then sold it to him. So yeah, it made a mess. Isn't it interesting, all the little nuances? So this is hilarious. It was a New York book fair when my A+ book really started to take off. And I got to, I was signing books, right? And it's a whole bunch of authors. And I mean, it's not just textbooks, it's like popular books and all this. And like the super popular authors weren't there, but people who were trying to get books out. So I remember Leonard Nimoy was there, and that madam, that lady, she ran the brothels and got busted for it. And she wrote a book. We're all sitting around drinking coffee together. It was pretty cool. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Not like that. Yes, CR 2032. Thank you guys. I appreciate you reminding me. Isn't it funny? People are always like, Mike Meyers, how come you don't have all this stuff memorized? Because it's not that important, you know? I mean, you can look it up. Wow, so use rechargeable. Rechargeables. I've had bad luck with rechargeables. What type of practice question can we expect on 1002? The ones you're practicing with my test bank, Patrick. Those are the type of practice questions you can expect. I work very hard to create questions that mimic not only the physical, the interface look and feel, but the tone of A+ questions. I do not copy any actual A+ questions. And there's certain questions that are almost impossible to not copy. You know, what is the port number for regular HTTP? I mean, those questions are gonna, you almost can't copy, can't help not copy them. Oops, sorry, I'm getting an error. Okay. Hey, if anybody starts buffering, let me know. I'd like to just type it in and say buffering. Okay. Marnix Lawrence, welcome, man. Welcome aboard. JC Denton, love your online classes. Thanks, man. Wayne's World, excellent. Oh, goodness sakes, here it comes. So the thing is, if I don't, I leave the thing here and it doesn't scroll, and then the moment I go over to see if anybody's asking questions. It goes brrrk, then it gets a big old pile. I got lots of people asking questions here. Yay! I'm here, guys. I'm here. Hang on. Yeah, Scott was asking if I can get those batteries. I can pick them up at Walgreens here in Houston, or my local Walgreens. Yeah, I like Pocket. My only problem with Pocket and Firefox is that it ends up pointing you to subscription-based places, yeah, like New York Times. I actually bought a subscription to New York Times. I just read it enough, you know. Terrence Tech. I have an A+ question. Can you get a regular CRC from the store? Yes. Well, I can, Terrence. I can pick them up at my local pharmacy store here, CVS, Walgreens. I think they're used in a lot of health-based devices. So yeah, I can pick them up right there. Usually the same place all those little hearing aid batteries are. Tom Jeffrey, Mike, I'm about to build a PC. Good man. Should I choose the case first or the motherboard? Well, certainly not the case. You have to choose what you're going to do with it first. It's probably the first thing you need to say to yourself. I mean, are you building a little home theater system that's just going to be pushing out video? Is this a gaming system? Is this a system you're keeping in the kitchen to just pull up the web and look at stuff like that? You know, it really helps to define kind of what you're looking to do. Are you going to put a RAID array in it? Are you going to be happy with just a couple of M.2 drives or one M.2? So, you know, once you answer that question, that kind of starts helping itself. So then the other question you're going to start asking is, okay, is there a particular CPU I'm fond of? I'm always big on the CPUs. I like keep CPUs in my brain at any given moment. And so then you usually look for a motherboard that's going to support that particular CPU, that is going to be of a form factor that's going to support what you want to do. You know, if you're going to end up putting a lot of drives in there, you're going to be looking for a big tower. If you're going to be sliding something underneath their TV, you know, then you're going to be looking for like a little mini ITX or something like that. And you go back and forth a little bit. Power supplies are kind of important, I mean, especially if you're going to get off the standard ATX power supply form factor. But those would be the things that are going through my head. And then the other thing that comes pretty early on, especially if it's a gaming machine, is what is the most bang for the buck I can get for my video card? Because that's a big expense on building a system today, is your graphics. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're just building a system for doing web browsing and stuff like that, the occasional YouTube video, most of the time onboard graphics are more than sufficient. But once you start getting any kind of gaming stuff like that, then you really want to be looking at, what is the most money, what's the most bang for the buck for the money I got for the graphics card. A wonderful website called Tom's Hardware every month does a best graphics cards for the money. And they've been doing this now for years, and it's great. And it's like, best graphics card for $100 or less, best graphics card under $200, that kind of a thing. And it really helps me when I'm trying to decide, do I go for the 2080 or the 2080 Ti and that kind of a thing. And it has links to good prices too. Tom's can often, depending on demand, can get discounts too, which is very, very handy to do. So the answer is, I guess, if I want to just answer your question, I would say motherboard first, but there's more to that. Marnix Lauren, no, dude, I put that thing about the 1.8-inch HDD. I've received loads of them. In fact, even some of the editors, when I had written that, were all kind of like, Mike, I've got one myself. So thank you very much, but I do not need any more 1.8-inch HDDs. I have found very many. I could make an ashtray out of it. Sorry about the noise outside, guys. It's trash day here in Houston, so they're picking up the trash. They'll be passed in mere moments. Can you guys even hear it? Angel, I am all zoomed out with the security risk. Teams works better, but Teams is not easy for normal people. So I'm not a big fan. Right now, I'd be going with Google. Skype has now reacted because of Teams, and they have a Teams-like product. And but Zoom has also worked very, very hard, a lot of patches. In fact, if you're using Zoom, a huge patch just came through this week. Let me look this up real quick. Yeah, I think it may have been on Friday, and it's like a required patch. The reason that's important is because so many people, you fire up Zoom because to get in a meeting and you don't have time to do a patch, and they're actually forcing the upgrade on people. So a lot of people have been late to Zoom meetings lately. So, yeah, Marnix Lawrence, that's all that matters, right? Right, Marnix, I'm with you. Andre's here. Man, we got all these Europeans, man. EU. So which one of you guys, next time I fly over to Europe, I want to crash at your all's houses, man. So I'll buy the beer if you guys put me up for the night. Jimmy, hey Mike, besides your study materials, I'm also using one of the other guys too. They have a comment and I was unsure what they were referencing. Jimmy, I'm going to tell you something. I have some fine competitors out there who make some wonderful products, and I am very comfortable, and you should. I think it's a very good idea, especially with practice questions. I think it's a mistake to just get one set of practice questions. Get two, or better yet, find somebody, make that person buy another set, you buy another set, and then trade them off when you're done. So anyway, lots of competitors out there. I'm not going to name any names, but they're all pretty good. There's one competitor that I do not respect the quality of their product. I'm not going to name any names. So, Jimmy, if I can't say anything nice, I just say nothing. Angel Frias, Mike, I'm an American that lives in Germany. Yeah, no, Angel, I love Germany. Munich is one of my favorite cities to go to, and I enjoy it very much. A friend of mine works at NASA, and she gets called over there to work with ESA out of Munich. So I like Munich, and they say weird things like Grüß Gott. I was in Berlin last year for the Berlin Marathon. That was very cool. Yeah, I like Germany. Good place. My favorite place in Europe is probably France, just because the wine, and I find French people to be very friendly. Actually, they're just very proud of their country. Netherlands is always good. Amsterdam. I've only been to Amsterdam. Never been anywhere else. That was good. And the British are okay. BR Brown Skin 30, Southwest Houston, homeboy. All right. Say, Brown Skin 30. I live in Montrose. I'm in Montrose. I'm in downtown Houston. So, good to have locals, man. Eric Verduzco, Network Chuck helped me get into my Raspberry Pi. I'm going to talk to Network Chuck and see. I want to try to get him on here just so we can have a little bit of fun and have a good nerdy day. So we'll see how that goes. Could be fun. Nick L. Yes, Nick, anybody who takes an online test, just let me know how your experience was. Send me an email if you can. I'd prefer an email, or just put a little blurb in here. The problem is this gets more popular. Sometimes I miss things that people say. So yeah, let me know how the online testing goes. So far it's been pretty good. Andrew Hutz, Mike, are you familiar with Western Governors University? I've heard of this name. So, Andrew, when we're talking about going to schools, I don't know Western Governors University's program, okay? If you want a career in IT, the only reason you go to the school is because their diploma has value, okay? And again, I don't know anything about Western Governors. I think they're one of those online ones like Phoenix, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with those. But if you're just going to a school to get certifications, that's often, in my opinion, not the best possible idea. And I'm not saying that that's what you're referring to here. I tell people to go to schools like here in Houston, here in Texas, we have the Texas Technical Schools. Great guys. Those would be some fun guys to have on here. And so they have like a 2 years associates program, and you get a number of certifications. But more importantly, that AA has a lot of respect in the industry, particularly here in Texas. And so that sheepskin goes far beyond just getting you certifications. They have amazing job placement programs. So some over 90%, don't hold me to this number, I'm not sure I'm accurate, but some huge percentage of their students are pretty much given jobs right out the gate. Now those, to me, are good reasons to go to a school. Schools are going to cost more. In some cases, they're going to cost mind-bendingly more, 5 figures easily. And that's something you have to think about. I mean, self-study for X number of certifications, you could probably get 3-4 certifications under your belt for under $2,000 and do it at your own time period, versus maybe getting a couple and spending, and then they get you that student loan stuff. So if you can go to a great school, if you can get a 4-year degree, get it. Okay, I don't care if you're going to snap ramen for the rest of your life. If you can get a 4-year degree, go for the 4-year degree. If you can't get a 4-year degree, get a 2-year degree. But whether it's a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree, you make darn good and sure that that school is going to be helping you with a respectable diploma and job placement and stuff like that. Bright IT guy, hey there, hey Professor Bright. Few of my students should be on the stream today. This was our last week on our A+ course. Hey, well, Professor Bright, I got it there. Sorry, man, I can't read is a problem. My glasses are dirty. First of all, good luck to all those guys. Please let me know how you do. I'm always interested to see how you do it. Do you guys know that the first-time pass rate for the CompTIA A+ worldwide is under 40%? CompTIA doesn't like to advertise that, but this is fairly dated information, but that came from CompTIA years ago, that the first-time pass rate was under 40%. I would be terrified with people using my stuff. Or, we don't have a way to easily measure that, but we're comfortable that we're way over 80%. Andre, hi Mike, if you have a game that would work on XP but not on Win 10, would it work in a VM? Yeah, okay, I don't know for a fact that you got some old Medal of Honor game, which is a good game, I remember those. First of all, I'd be surprised that it doesn't work on Win 10. Have you done a Google search and says Medal of Honor on Win 10? To verify for sure that it doesn't work, but secondarily, it absolutely would work. Most of the VirtualBox, the Oracle VirtualBox, is it 6.1, the current version, supports graphics cards. Or it supports DirectX. So that's actually pretty cool. So my quick answer is Andre, you can pretty much make anything run under Windows or a VM if you take your time and play with it a little bit. Yeah, Angel, a lot of people have, again, taken the online. People are saying it's great. Do not be afraid. Thomas Herm, got my trifecta in the last couple of months and got my CSIS. Currently working on Brent's CYSA course before it retires. Go for it, man. So Thomas, you're also going to get a job, right? Or you're working? Okay. Brandon, Mr. Swenson himself. Should we be using the Windows admin account or creating a secondary user account for everyday use? Well, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about a little home networking setup? Don't tell too many people this, but a lot of times if I'm just working and I got a few computers in the house that are all running Windows Home, you can set Windows up so it doesn't even ask for a password. And I've been known to do that in certain circumstances. Now, if I'm in an office or a professional environment, you usually, I forget what Microsoft best practices are. Do you disable the administrator account? I don't remember. But yeah, for everyday use on, like here in my house, I run Windows 10 Professional for the most part, except for this laptop for some reason. I have the administrator accounts, the local administrator accounts, and I set them up on the same password, which I probably shouldn't do, but for the house, that's fine. One of the things that frustrates me, especially with home users or small office users, they're not using a domain controller or anything like that. And if they lose that local administrator account, it makes it, I have to jump through some hoops to get that, because a lot of times for fixing a system, I really need that local administrator. So I believe in, you having an active local administrator account, but then I have a secondary account, which I often just give administrator privileges, especially if it's me. But once I get into the office, the rules change dramatically. The administrator accounts, the domain admin accounts, those are all locked down tight. And then we pass out privileges, even to the only person at Total Seminars who has like enterprise admin for our domain would be me, Michael Smyer. That might be it. And then, we're comfortable with NTFS permissions and good use of groups, and then then we control that very carefully. So, we have the graphics people as their own group. We have the office people as their own group. So that's highly hierarchical and regulated, and takes good NTFS skills to do that kind of stuff, and which you should do it. But at home, do whatever you want. Thomas Robinson, is the A+ 9th edition book still good? No, sir. Heidi Fleiss, that's who it was. It is not good. Do not use the 9th edition book. Yeah, Geraldine, I had some warnings about buffering. It should stop now. Sorry about that. Keep letting me know if it buffers those guys. Sorry, I want to get myself. Dakota Arson, is there a great A+ app? Not that I'm aware of. Heidi Fleiss, that was her name. Yeah, sorry, the 9th edition is not good, Thomas Robinson. You have to have the 10th edition. And the 10th edition only has maybe another year and a half left on it. They're probably going to do another update. Will CRT Monitor ever make a comeback in the gaming scene? I don't think, no. Lorenz. Marnie Luenz. How was that? Did I do better that time? Dutch is hard, no kidding. Dakota Arson, Android or iPhone? For me, not only has it got to be Android, but it's got to be like a foldable or anything like that. If I had to give somebody a phone and I didn't want to give them any support, I'd give them an iPhone. I like the flexibility that Android gives me. iPhone makes way too many decisions for me that I don't like. But I like iPhones. I'm a big fan of Apple products. Jimmy, question, dual drive configuration and other options for separate SSD and HD units to be installed in a dual drive. Are they just referencing master slave, primary, secondary setup? Dual drive configurations. Another option is for separate SSD and HDD units to be installed in a dual drive configuration. Are they referencing master slave? No. That is an old PATA, back with the old ribbon cables drives. So it's not that. Primary, secondary setup, almost certainly. You might be talking about a boot order. So you plug these two drives in. So you plug in an SSD, you plug in an M.2, and then you plug in an old rotational media drive. Then you boot the system up, go into your system setup, and number one thing you need to be doing is make sure you see the drives, right? That's the most important thing. And then there is an order based on where you plug it in. There is the NVMEs could be in front of the SATAs, or the SATAs could be in front of the NVMEs in terms of the priority of the drive. And really all that determines more than anything else is it used to set boot priority, but even now you'll have a separate option in your system setup that says, I want to boot off this, or whatever it is. So yeah, doesn't make that big of a deal. Bradley Joe, is your Udemy course practice questions enough for the A+? Yeah. No. When Udemy threw that at us, okay, because the idea for us was just throw these videos up, right? And Bradley Joe, of course, here we go, spend money. We sell practice questions. And these practice questions are designed to do the look and feel, I think they're great practice questions, blah, blah, blah. And then Udemy came up to us about a year ago, and they're like, hey, we can put questions in. And we were like one of the first people to do it. So we put, most of those questions come directly or indirectly from our own test banks, but I wish you had more questions than what Udemy allows. And so you ought to buy some practice questions. Sorry, spend more money. That's all you got is money, right? So buy more of them. Can you go over IP addressing and break it down slowly for me? Whoo! You want me to do a whole, what is an IP address kind of a thing? That could be a big topic. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do it today, but I'm writing down, I would like to have some props on me. So I'm going to write that down. Scott Jernigan, we could do you want to introductory to IPv6, IPv4? Yeah, I guess we could do that, sure. But CP class man, I don't want to do it today. Yeah, we're already, we'll see. I just want to have some props. Yeah, and for the record, so say my grandkids, AK others outside the IT industry, don't be afraid. My books, particularly A+ and Net+, are really written with the assumption that you don't know anything. So there's there's no prerequisites. The Security Plus books, there are some prerequisites in there. Yeah, Security Plus has prerequisites. I don't want to reteach DNS when you're doing Security Plus. But anyway, so by the way, if here I am selling questions and forgetting to tell you, we have a deal this week where we're giving away 50% off on all of our practice questions. So they're already pretty cheap, and now we're going to knock 50% off. All you have to do is look underneath here, and that shows where you go, totalsem.com, and Scott Jernigan will type up the code you have to use. It's MMLive something, I don't remember. But Scott will type it in, and you'll see it right over here. And take advantage of it. They're great questions, and it's a great way to go. So CP Classman, you know what? I'm not going to go over IP addressing. I want you to ask me a question, all right? And the more detailed the question is, the better I'll answer it for you. Okay? So I want to do this, but this is always a big thing I run into when you're studying. CP Classman, I'm not picking on you. It happens a lot. And you get smoked on a topic, Sometimes you just get smoked. It doesn't have to be technology. You'd be smoked on, how to fix a washing machine. I don't know. And there's a mental process you need to do when you're feeling like something's just overwhelming you, or you just don't get it. You have to look at the question and realize that you do get a lot, okay? There's pieces of information. Maybe you're reading it. Maybe you're watching a video. And the problem is there's some logic leap that you're not getting. It's like when I'm teaching somebody something, I'm paranoid about, I want to start here and then slowly move up topically so that you get the idea of how it progresses on any type of topic. And usually when people say they're overwhelmed, what they've done is they got maybe to here and then to here, and then they went to here, didn't understand it, and kept going, which then creates this confusion ball. So for me as a learner, there's always a point where I'm getting it, okay? I mean, you know, IP addressing is a number. You know that, right? And I bet if I showed you a picture of an IP address, you know, it's 4 numbers between 0 and 255 separated by 3 dots, you'd probably get that. So I want you to think about this, and I do want to answer your question. I'm excited to answer your question, but also as a teacher, I want to help you with your learning methodology, and I want you to consider that, because in this case, what you're really doing is teaching the teacher what you need to be taught. Does that make sense? As opposed to me starting at the very beginning and boring you and half the other gang. So let's try that. If it doesn't work, we can start from the beginning. I'm glad to do that for you. Mr. E, is it possible to add more questions to the virtualization and cloud computing? It only has 11 questions? Really? That seems interesting. Well, you know they're good. Yeah, nobody wants me to buy the batteries at the stores. Buy them on Amazon. They're dirt cheap. Okay, so I have just got some information that we may have an incorrect code for the questions. Hold on, let me double check. So the code that we've given you is the wrong code. I understand the code to be MMLive 518. MMLive 518. So I'm going to wait for a minute, and Scott Jernigan will tell me if I just said the right code or not. We'll see what happens. Sunray, I've given up. I'm going to call you Ver, Sunray. Sunray Ver. So the code we have listed is 518. The code for this week is MMLive 518. So if you're buying practice questions at 50% off this week, what a great deal. Make sure it's MMLive 518. Sunray, I'm getting a little discouraged by age. 48, you had nothing, buddy. I think competing with the younger folks for a help desk position is not feasible. Oh, okay. Now I'm mad, Sunray. Now you just pissed me off. I'm kidding. If there's one industry that is not age discriminatory, it's IT. The problem is that when you're an older learner and you come into IT, you seem to forget that you have, well, you're 48, so you probably got 28 years of some kind of experience out there. And when you're an older person, one of the things you need to really concentrate on doing is take the experience, your life experience from your career before, and apply it to IT. I've seen people make tons of money. One guy was an auto mechanic, and the guys helped develop tool sets for a new kind of tire balancer. And he works with the IT part of that to make that work. And because he understands how to balance tires. There's been auto salespeople who helped take out, there used to be this really popular, I'm not going to name any names, it was a mainframe-based tool set that hang on way too long. So they helped, you know, in doing web development stuff, but because they understood cars. Get the idea? Always use the skill set you have and apply that. So you're saying, well, I just want to go work at a help desk against young people. I think that you might find yourself substantially underemployed with that attitude. The trick is, you might want to work a help desk for a year just to get something on the old resume, but you usually find people move out of that very, very quickly, sometimes shockingly quickly. Another fellow was he knew how to build roads. He could read the blueprints and build a road, and he got into IT, doing development, stuff like that. So always think about your experience. You'd be surprised. See, Plasman 2000, you're 62? There's somebody older than me out there. Thank goodness. Damian Castillo, I'm getting ready for the CompTIA Net Plus. What would you recommend for me to focus on? Well, Damian, are you taking it tomorrow, or have you scheduled an exam yet? If you haven't scheduled an exam yet, you've still, then if you're using my materials at the beginning of my books, I give you matrices to give you an idea of how many hours of studying you need. And that helps you work that out. You take practice questions, and like my practice questions show you what you need to work on more. And then that's where you develop your skill set. If you're taking it tomorrow, my answer to you would be, go ride a bike and take it easy, because I hate studying literally the day before an exam. Not a good idea. I'd need more information to give you a little more input there. Oh, look at this, Sunray. You got all these people backing you up, man. I don't have to say nothing. You've probably been successful. Not really, no. Well, not me personally. Are we buffering again? Sorry, Terrence. Terrence, nobody else is complaining about buffering. I wonder, nope, here comes Geraldine. Here they come again. Sorry guys, I'm getting excellent over on this side. Everything says I'm running at 100%. They're super happy, so hopefully I got no control on it, I'm sorry. Angel Frias, do you know when the Security Plus version will change? Are we still safe with 501? For now, yes, but I know it is changing. I'm under non-disclosure agreements on a lot of this stuff, so I don't know what I can say. I will tell you that I, as a author, have access to the Security Plus 601 objectives now. I've had access to them for a couple of months. I don't remember, has CompTIA even announced when the new 601's coming out? So I'll let Scott or Dave or one of those guys research it and let me know. There you go. There's my Europeans giving me invites. That's all I want, man. Sunray, you're in Northern Ireland? You know, I've never been to Ireland. Never once. Always wanted to go. So I used to give a lot of talks in London, and so there'd be IT teachers from all over the UK would come down, and Ireland would come down, and they'd all get together. And I always, this is an American talking, so don't tease me too much, okay? But I always got the impression that the Scottish and the Irish, they don't get along really well until you put them in front of the English, and then they become the best buddies ever. And that certainly used to happen every year when I'd give these talks, is all the Scots and the Irish folks would suddenly glom together into a group socially and separate themselves from the Brits. And I called them the Celts. And they were a hilarious group of guys. Man, my goodness, we weren't staying in the best parts of London here, okay? This wasn't Kensington, you know what I mean? And so I'd be sitting in some moderate airport bar drinking a pint, and the Celts would come by and they'd be like, "Oh, Mike, let's go drinking." And I'm like, "Guys, I think I am drinking." They're like, "Oh, no, we're going really drinking." And just, there are stories of me waking up 10 minutes before I'm about to give a speech in a cold sweat going, "What time is it?" And I blame the Irish and the Scots for all of that. Sunray's French, excellent. Yes, Ken, I'm not naming anybody. I do, John, I've never been to Portugal either. Hey, look, Angel, you live in Bavaria. How much better can it be? You know, the only problem I have with Bavaria is there's so many mountains. Your autobahns, you know, as an American, I want to go as fast as I can. And with all the mountains and everything, there always seems to have speed limits everywhere. I find French people extremely friendly. The secret to being friendly with French people is to, well, number one, get out of Paris, but then number two, show interest in French culture. French people are very, very proud of their culture, and they're very proud of their wine and their cheese and their relationships. And as an American, if you ask questions about their culture, you find doors opening that I think most Americans are too loud and obnoxious and boasting about America to appreciate. And I have found French people almost universally to be extremely friendly. Yeah, I've always had good luck with them. Oh man, TS, you're still messing with that RTAC88U. So you did a factory reset? Because the other thing I was going to ask you about if there was a firmware update. On mine, there was a firmware update. Dakota Arson, how much is a CCNA course and test? I don't know, Dakota. I don't do Cisco very much, so I'm unfamiliar with that. You're going to have to go to Cisco and check that out. So I do not know. I will tell you that lots of people teach CCNA. I don't. Total Seminars currently doesn't. But there's lots of folks out there. Cisco has their own in-house courseware, so you have many, many choices. There's some great Cisco instructors both on YouTube and on like lynda.com and Udemy and NextU, all those guys too. We spoke, Nick L. We spoke via email the other day about the question, wireless charging pad versus battery pack. Yes, we did, absolutely. Are polyglots useful in IT? Yeah, probably. Do you consider yourself a polyglot, sir? Ken Sherman, when will you be donning that hat? I left the hat down in the office before the coronavirus kicked in, and it's just down in the office. I hardly ever get out of the house these days. I mean, yeah, I got to run down to a computer store today. I'm going to pick up a new laptop. But yeah, no. The hat's down in the office. The office is 30 miles from here, so yeah, I know in Texas, that's not far. When will you be donning the old hat again for the new completed CompTIA course series? I'm not sure what you mean by a course series. You mean like the 1001? As soon as it gets updated, which will probably be about a year and a half from now, is when that next update. That's still a fairly new update. Eric Verduzco, I think that it would be awesome to build a NAS from a Raspberry Pi 4. Sure, yeah. Certainly doable. Marnie, that's not Marnie Lurins, my good Dutch friend. That's not very comfortable. I'm planning on doing A+ in June. You're fine, you know. I usually recommend most people do about 120 hours of study time for the A+. That's both exams. So, you know, put in 8 hours a day. How's that math working for me? Yeah, I mean, you'd have to work hard, but you got oodles of time. And again, I don't know what your skills are. Are you an experienced tech or, you know? Da-da-da. Sunray, it looks like you're getting some good information there, so I'm going to let these guys keep talking to you. They're doing a good job. Are the Security Plus is Cody Danger? Security Plus 501 objectives still good for another year at least? Probably not. Again, though, guys, I'm not sure what I can say or not say based on my NDA. Scott Jernigan, can you guys, am I allowed to say, has CompTIA announced when the Security Plus 601's coming out, when the Security Plus 501's retiring? Honestly, probably, Cody, the best way, just go to CompTIA.org and type in Sec Plus 501 retirement and see if it's been announced yet. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure late this year would be safe, but I don't know for sure. Terrence Tech, Mike, any suggestions on any sites that allow you to do any Security Plus labbing to practice with the tools we can learn about? I know that there are some that are out there for some stuff, but the quicker answer is no. Well, you want to work with a SAN or something? I'm not, Terrence, I'm not sure what give me an example of one thing you want to do that you don't feel you can do at home. And then maybe we could work with that. Yes, Carnival, I agree. Studying the day before an exam, I think, is always a bad idea. I really think there's something about, especially if you've been really intensely studying, and then you save that last day, or at the very least that afternoon, okay? And there's something about unhooking from it all. There was this wonderful movie. It was about this kid who could play chess and Waiting for Bobby Fischer or something like that. And Ben Kingsley was in it. And there's this one scene where the kid's staring at the board so hard, and the teacher just takes all the pieces and wipes them off the board. And he said, now figure it out. And I think there's something about taking that time off before an exam that just kind of clears your brain, you know? And then when you come in, you can kind of reset. I've always been a big believer in that. So Carnival, give me your wife's phone number. I'll call her and tell her myself. Marty, 79 MUFC, I'm Lithuanian. Marty, I'm half Latvok. I'm Latvian, Russian, and Irish. How's that for a combination? You know, as Americans, we like to talk about our cultural heritages. I've been told that drives you Europeans nuts when we do that, but, you know. Hakeem, how do you know if you have been studying horrible or outdated material? The other guy. Well, if it's for CompTIA stuff, like every CompTIA exam, like let's do like Security Plus. Years ago, it was the SY0101, SY0201, SY0301, SY401, 501. So when you're purchasing study materials, those study materials should correlate to the current examination. The big thing that always scares me when people take CompTIA or any certification is that most certifications are on 3-year lifespans. And if you want to go for a certification, the first question you should ask yourself is, what is the number of this current version of this certification, whatever it is? That's the first thing you ask. And then the second thing you ask is, how much longer is this going to be valid? So if this thing's been out for 2.5 years, then you might only have 6 months to study. And by the way, like if there's an old exam, like the SY0501 and then the 601, everybody's like, oh, I should take the new exam. Wrong answer. You always take the old exam whenever you can. First of all, in a technical interview or in a resume check, no one's going to ask what version of Security Plus did you take. And this goes for any certification. Nobody cares. And the problem is I don't know what's on a CompTIA exam any more than you do. All right, I've got experience with CompTIA, but I'm not given any information to write books or to do training materials other than the objectives. That's it. CompTIA doesn't provide me any information. I don't have any back doors, you know what I mean? I know lots of people at CompTIA, but they're not going to give me any information. So when a test has been out for a while, you know, I get to update the videos, add to the practice questions as information comes in, and those tend to hit the exam better. So you always want to take, if you've got a choice, always take the older version, because certainly with CompTIA is that there's always an overlap. So there's going to be 3 years, but then maybe 4 months, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months. There'll be the 6-month overlap window where you can take either exam. Take the old one. Always take the old one. Study materials are better. That's not true for just me. That's anybody who makes study materials. PvP boy, I remember you. Hey Mike, just watched Professor Messer live earlier and hyped to study my Core 2A+. Your Core 1 videos helped me so big. Yep, PvP boy, I think you're doing pretty good. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch, my stuff and Professor Messer's. It's not a bad combination. Ooh, Scott put in all kinds of information here. Okay, Security Plus 601 scheduled for November of 2020, and 501 retires in July. That comes from Kathy Yale. Wonderful. And that's a guess on the retirement date. So you have almost a year, and maybe not quite a year. Ken Sherman. I have several of your all-in-one books, but where can I find the core edition of your CompTIA series? Do you have the completed A+? So, Ken, the term core is not a common term for me. I've heard that maybe with the A+, they have the core and operating system, the 1001 and 1002. I only think in terms of the numbers. I am constantly updating all my stuff to match whenever a new version of A+, Net Plus, or Security Plus is released. So when I talk about this, like my old A+ was the A+ 220901, A+ 220902. When they released the new version of the A+, the 2201,001 and the 2201,002, I made materials for that. But I'm not super comfortable with core. I don't put a lot on YouTube anyway, Ken. It doesn't work. I know Professor Messer does, and I don't know, maybe he has less mouths to feed than I do or something. But yeah, it doesn't work for me, so I don't do it. This whole live stream has been adding more videos than I probably have ever had in YouTube. But to me, YouTube's really just a marketing tool, you know, more than anything else. Or it's also, in this particular case, a really handy way to do live streams to help people through the coronavirus. So the answer is I'm always updating stuff, Ken. Yeah, Sunray, I had the funniest experience with this gal from Ireland. And, you know, they're talking about the troubles in Northern Ireland and Ireland and all that stuff. And, you know, she's talking, to me, she sounds like an Irish person, you know. And I'm like, she goes, well, you know, with my accent, I'd be in big trouble in Belfast or something like that. And I was like, I thought all you Irish people sounded exactly the same. Yeah, so they're an interesting group of people, to say the least. Cody Danger, hi Mike, do you think the objectives for the Security Plus 501 will still be valid? Oh, I got that one. Yeah, sorry. CP Classman, 120 hours? Yes, 120 hours. Yeah, New Horizons get 40 hours. So just for the record, CP Classman, we've done, that's a boot camp, okay? That's just pounding through questions. There's nothing wrong with a boot camp. But to me, a boot camp is for somebody who already knows their stuff and they just want to pound questions, kind of a thing. And those can be done in 40 hours. The fastest I've ever done an A+ course, like a real course, was 80 hours. And everybody in there had at least a bachelor's degree, and they were all very, very smart people and super type A personalities. And they sat at the edge of their chairs and they all had guns. So I couldn't imagine being successful in under 40 hours. In 40 hours, to be honest with you. Not to say you can't, I'm just saying that sounds tricky. What is your take on, this is from Ken Sherman, what is your take on Linux Plus versus LPIC certifications and Linux altogether? I think Linux Plus is certainly put itself into a really good place. I thought, and Ken, someone's going to have to double check me, but if you get the Linux Plus, don't you automatically get like that first LPIC certification? I thought they were the same thing now. They worked out a deal where if you got one, you get the other. Man, that information's old. I might have to double check that. Carnival, I'm in Texas, recently completed A+ and N+ with no field experience. Switching to an entry IT career locally would be a major pay cut. Yep. Any tips on breaking into without losing my living? Well, you know, first of all, hey, Debbie Stotch is here. Great, hey Debbie. Anyway, Carnival, using previous experience and applying IT to it. I just keep telling people over and over again. And usually the next thing they're like, well, how? I don't know. You just get out there, man. It's amazing. The other big place that you can really make some good money, probably not right now, but most of the time, is sales. And if you can talk even a little bit, all kinds of IT software sales, hardware sales, all kinds of services sales, they're all over the place. The other place you can often do good is where you have IT services that require, say, like 24-hour monitoring and stuff like that. They often have centers that they require people to work all kinds of hours. It's not that challenging because most of it's knowledgeware, but they pay pretty good. I don't know. Starting out around 42 to 50 isn't that bad. I would have to know where you lived, that kind of stuff. So yeah, for stuff like that, anytime you're like, I can't get a job, send me an email. Just send me an email. And then I'll start asking you some questions. I can usually help out. I can't guarantee anything. I won't guarantee anything, but I do like to help out with that kind of stuff. Searching for Bobby Fischer. Yes, that was the movie. Okay, so I want to stress something. So Kathy says the Security Plus 601 is scheduled for release November 2020, and we're guessing that the Security Plus 501 retires July 31st, 2021. That's over a year from now. Okay. Those are guesses, guys. I'm getting, so Kathy's putting in dates, and I'm getting other people telling me we don't know. So we'll treat that as a guess for now. Arona Alajo, hello Mike. Thank you for your course on Udemy. Hey, no problem. I'm now taking the A+ there, and you're amazing. Thank you. One question, is the CompTIA Server Plus going to be helpful for becoming a system architect? I'm not a big fan of Server Plus. I'm not against it. The one thing I will say about Server Plus is that there are certain circumstances, data center kind of stuff, where it can be helpful. But that's about it. Yeah. I'll never write a book on Server Plus. Fong Wen, hello Mr. Handsome. Now there's something I don't hear very often. That and Mr. Great Hair. I don't hear that one very often either. Bronze Skin 30. Not sure if you've addressed this in previous live streams, but can you talk about the Udemy site for your courses? So, sure. So at Total Seminars, we shoot a bunch of videos, okay? And then we take those videos and we sell them on our website. But then companies like lynda.com and udemy.com, there was the two big ones, then basically rent or give me a bully pulpit, and we sell through them and they get a chunk of the profits. Udemy is much more of a, and this is my opinion, more YouTube-y, more person-to-person. Lynda.com, and they're the same videos, but Lynda.com does much more in terms of more business enterprise level kind of stuff. So to me, they're not even really competitors. And, like, they put extra things on it. Udemy does some little question stuff, that kind of thing like that. But really, it's just a matter of choice and price. They're all good. It's the same videos. Patrick Villas, what does it mean to me that the certification is expired? Do I need to retake the test again and still be professionally recognized? Oh, Patrick, man, dude, you ask me challenging questions. There is a European ISO standard, I think it's called ISO 27000 or 27001, that and there's an IEEE, I don't remember what it is, but there are industry standards that say IT changes too much and that certifications need to be refreshed about every 3 years. So everybody who issues certification, not just CompTIA, Microsoft, Cisco, all of them, kind of have a 3-year refresh period. And at the end of that period, your certification is expired, you no longer have that certification. That's the official statement. Here's the unofficial statement. When people are looking to hire people, they see you starting off with some certification down here. IT fundamentals, maybe A+, then Net Plus, and then over time, I mean, you're already working now, but then you maybe look for a Sec Plus, maybe you decide to go into Cisco, maybe you decide to go into Microsoft, whatever it is, and that, yeah, your A+ is probably expired, but what you've shown to prospective employers is that you have a history of staying on top of things. And every few years you get a new certification. I'm sure CompTIA would love for you to re-up your A+ every 3 years. Personally, I don't think that's very important because you'll quickly progress past those needs. Look, if you're going to be working on systems the rest of your life, which is great work, then yeah, you'd probably want to consider updating your A+. If you're going to be teaching A+, you get it updated all the time. But for most people, as your skill set improves and as you grow and move into more challenging jobs, you tend to forget about those certifications and you move on to newer stuff. So yes, technically it's expired, okay? However, people still like to see you took it, you know, back then or whatever it might be. Andrew Hutz, Mike, I've got some free parts from a friend's old computer, including a 3rd gen i7, great, compatible 8-bit DDR3. Would it be a foundation to Frankenstein and build a small NAS? No, Andrew, an i7 motherboard, 8 gigs of RAM, well, you want to make it a NAS, right? So my more important question is, you know, if you want to make it a NAS, are you going to get you're going to put a RAID card in there? Does it have built-in RAID? You know, most of the built-in RAIDs only do like RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 5. Is that going to work for your NAS? So yeah, the hardware is fine. Now what I'm more interested in is what hard drive support does that motherboard have? Andre, how big is the difference between an old and a new course? That much. Say A+ 901 versus 1001. I mean, I can kind of give you a guesstimate, but usually the changes are maybe about a 10% change. And that's a very difficult question for me to answer because a lot of times, and these objectives are public, anybody can get the objectives for CompTIA exams. And, but a lot of times CompTIA will change the way they look at something. So instead of just identifying this as a SATA drive, they suddenly come up with, you know, different types of configurations and things like that. But that's about the best I can answer that question for you, Andrew. Andre? Yeah, Sunray, I definitely made the mistake telling Irish people they sounded the same. Trust me, I was taught a lesson. PvP boy, from my experience, the 1001, if I just watched Messer, I might have failed. Yeah, no, PvP boy, I tell everybody it's always a good idea to have two sources. I mean, I was talking earlier about practice exams, but it goes way past that. In particular, especially for learning things, having multiple sources is always good. Mr. Patel, Afka Patel. Hi, Mike. I'm currently studying the A+ with your book and Udemy course. How would you suggest studying for IT certifications? You have to do it the way you want to. You know, some people are visual learners. Some people are kinesthetics. They've got to do it. Some people are audio learners. And one of the things is you've got to pick your path. So like for a lot of people, if they're using video in a book, let's go with that. In fact, no. Let's go with video, book, practice questions, okay? For a lot of people, they want to watch a video and then maybe, I'll add a fourth thing, your own practice equipment. So you watch a video on how to install a CPU. So some people, they want to go ahead and install that CPU. Other people want to just read about it. You know, everybody's different, so I can't tell you how to do it. But what I can tell you to do is pick a organization that works for you. You know, so if you sit there and read the book first and you keep falling asleep, because not with my book, but I mean with mortal people's books. So you read the book, fall asleep, then maybe that's not the best way for you to start, right? If you're an experienced tech, a lot of times the best way to start is to do practice questions. Just practice. All right, let's practice, you know, some basic system assembly questions. See how I do. And if they don't do well, then maybe they watch a video. So everybody's got their own process. This is all part of something called adult learning theory. And you have to come up with your own way to do it. But, I mean, that's why I provide 3 very different tools to help people study. I think it's important for me to have a book. It's important for me to have videos. It's important for me to have test banks. Those are the magic triumvirate that help me pass certification exams. And then, of course, having equipment around is good too. So. It used to be if you got your LPIC 1, you got your LPIC 1 if you pass it, but not anymore. Thank you, Marty. I knew that was older information, so. CB Classman, you sent me an email. I will read it, my brother. Haroom Abdullah. Hey, Mike. Haroom from Pakistan. All right. We've got a pretty good Pakistani folks here in Houston. Amazing food. Really good food. I can eat Pakistani food all day long. Thomas Herm. When you say that some of the old books aren't good, is that solely on how it matches up to the test, or have some of the facts also changed? It's how it matches up to the test. Generally, yeah, facts don't change a lot, but it does happen. Now, a great example is, like if you look at USB over the years, like when you started out with USB, 1.1, and then they came out with 2.0 versus 2.1, and they came up with all these speed names for them. And then 3.0 came along, and came up with all these speed names, and 3.1 came along, and they kept rechanging all this stuff. So sometimes facts do change. Not very often. What's my view on the Google Tech Support certifications? They didn't blow me away. I wasn't super impressed with them. I haven't looked. Maybe I need to look again. Wayne's World, excellent. Greg Davis, aren't they all on CE renewal now for the CompTIA certs? Yes. CE, I'm not quite sure what you mean by CE. Oh, continuing education. Yeah. Oh, Greg Davis, good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, listen. So a lot of people, they don't actually retake the exams. They just take advantage of continuing education units. And CompTIA has a lot of really easy ways. Like you attend almost any IT conference, and that's good enough for you to be refreshed on your A+, stuff like that. Or like I don't want to lie to you, but it seems like if you take the Net Plus, that also refreshes your A+. CompTIA has an entire page on that. Go to CompTIA.org and look up CEUs, and they've got a big long list. Yes, I remember. I'm getting messages. We have to talk about APIPA today. Had some questions on it. Yeah, Ken, I agree with you. What I saw for the tech support made it feel like it was a little bit simplistic, in my opinion. Brownskin 30, you've had buffering the entire hour? I've got like a health report I can see right here on my stream that says excellent connection and happy. I had that one little error an hour ago and that was it. Sorry, man. Well, CP Classman, decades ago I found that asking the exact question to a dozen people, getting each answer from all individuals to form my own algorithm of all the answers gave me a round of perspective. I won't argue with that. Nigel, how did I find out about Network Chuck? I'm always searching for stuff. I watch YouTube a lot, probably too much. And I ran into his stuff, and it was good. I enjoyed some of his stuff. It's good. Last week, he popped up on my channel and said hello. I just thought it was nice for him to say hello. Okay, let's talk about APIPA for a minute. So the beautiful part about DHCP is that if I've got this DHCP server here, he's passing out IP address information to all the DHCP clients that are within the broadcast domain. So remember, we're all plugged into one switch, okay? And so when a system is configured to use DHCP, it sends out a, hello, if you can hear me, send me some DHCP information. And if a DHCP server hears that, he goes, here is your information, here you go. And then the DHCP client yells back, I have received this information from this server, therefore I'm good. And then the DHCP server says, yep, you got it. And that's how you get IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, DNS, lots of information, but those are the big four ones, the big four. And we love DHCP. Without DHCP, folks, you would have to go into every system and type in its IP address statically. You'd have to type in its subnet mask. You'd have to type in its default gateway, at least one, if not two DNS servers. It's a pain. DHCP is a wonderful thing. But in order to make DHCP work, you have to have a functioning DHCP server, right? Does that make sense? So, what if the DHCP server is down? What if it's down? Well, now, first of all, a lot of you are going to go, well, if the DHCP server's down, the DHCP server's on my router, and therefore I'm off the internet. Okay, well, whatever. So one of the things that I think Microsoft actually invented the concept, it was called automatic programmable IP addressing, or APIPA, okay? So what I want to do real quick is let's see if we can get this here. I'm going to go onto my system here, and I'm going to go to network connections, and let's go, where do I go? Where do I go? Change adapter options. Yay, there we go. So here's my wired. I'm worried you guys can't see that. One moment, please. All right, so I'm going to go into properties here. This is my wired connection. How can I zoom this in? Is there a way for me to zoom? I have a zoom function. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So we scroll through. This is my Ethernet connection, and I go down to IPv4, and I'm going to hit properties. So if you look here on this Windows system, you'll see it says obtain an IP address automatically and obtain DNS server automatically. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying I'm going to be a DHCP client. If I go over here and type in an IP address, and a subnet mask and all that, then I'm typing it in statically, okay? I don't want to do that. So this is how I go ahead and use DHCP. Now, the challenge here is, if the DHCP server is down, does that mean we're just done for the day? No. APIPA is a bailout function that basically says if you're a DHCP client and you don't get a DHCP server to respond, you go ahead and you create a APIPA address. And you'll see APIPA questions both on A+ and Net+. APIPA addresses are easily recognized. Just go into ipconfig, and all of a sudden you're going to see an address for 169.254 and then 2 other numbers, which are generated automatically, okay? And the goal of APIPA is to at least allow your local area network to keep running. Because if the DHCP server is down, then everybody who's using DHCP will suddenly generate a 169.254 address. And you'll still see them in your network connections and stuff like that. You won't be able to get on the internet because APIPA doesn't suddenly make a default gateway show up. Do you understand? And the subnet mask and the IP address is not even going to be the same. Your router is probably statically configured on the LAN side to some like 192.168.55.1. So if you have a 169.254 address, you need to recognize that your DHCP server isn't working. Keep in mind that DHCP servers don't always have to be in the home routers. In an enterprise situation, the DHCP server is almost always a different box that's someplace else. It's not on the edge router. So you got to keep that in mind. The problem is, though, that APIPA is going to give a 169.254, and it goes ahead and spins up the next 2 values arbitrarily. It does a broadcast. It says if nobody else has this IP address of 169.254.15.12 or whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead and use it. So if you suddenly are in a network and you can't get on the internet, okay, but you can still talk to everybody else, one of the things you might want to check is go into ipconfig and see what your IP address is. I mean, your IP address should probably normally be like a 169.254, sorry, a 192.168 something, right? Some kind of private IP address, and all of a sudden it's 169.254. If you see 169.254, you ain't got no DHCP server. That's all it is. So the answer is APIPA allows the LAN to still function even though you won't be able to get on the internet. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, it works. And makes for some good CompTIA questions. However, there's one more feature that I want to show you guys. Now, if you look up here, do you see where it says alternate configuration? If I click on that, so you can add a secondary IP address that's your automatic private IP address. It says, look, if I can't get on my regular IP address, go here. But you can also put a secondary address in if you want. Now, there's not a whole lot of good reasons to do this, but you could. Like, for example, if my address was, if my network ID was 17.13.14, I could possibly type in 17.13.14.22 or something like that. And in that case, I would be able to get on the internet, right? So if I've still got a IP address that's within my broadcast domain, within my network ID, it wouldn't go to 169.254. It would go to whatever I typed in there. And that's where that tab comes into play. So let's look at that one more time. And make sure you know that this is almost always going to be set to automatic, oh, I said program, automatic private IP address, sorry, a APIPA address. And that's where that address comes from. If you change that and it doesn't have a DHCP server, it won't give an APIPA address. It'll go whatever you type in here. Cool. Let's get out of here. I got to be really careful here, folks, because that connection is literally the connection I'm using to talk to y'all. So got to be a little careful. How are we doing on time? 3:30. Okay. So Geraldine Byrne, my husband is working. Geraldine, you got to get your husband on here. I want to talk to him, man. I just want to, you know. What a wonderful amount of support you give your husband. Geraldine had sent me an email showing how much she's helping her husband. And good for you, lady. It's great. Thomas Hearn, if you get a certification that's stacked, they refresh any previous cert. So Thomas Hearn tells us, like, if you have a Net Plus, that'll refresh your A Plus. You have a Security Plus, like that. Okay, cool. All right. PvP Boy, I did have one question. I am not a huge fan of Linux and Mac right now, since the job I am after is mostly Windows. How much of these are in the 1002 exams? Not a lot. Not a lot, but there's definitely some in there. PvP Boy, APIPA dies with IPv6, right? Right. APIPA dies with IPv4. So IPv6 has, see if I can get this on the screen for you. So, giving you guys all my secrets here. Oops, there it is. Yeah, so with IPv6, we have the link local addresses, which are automatically generated. So with IPv6, the concept of a APIPA doesn't make sense anymore because we basically have a link local address, which is automatically generated, and that's generated by the device themselves. So you're absolutely right, sir. Good point to bring up. Wayne's World. So if others are using DHCP and one device cannot reach the DHCP, it can still communicate. If others are using DHCP and one device cannot reach the DHCP, it can still communicate on the LAN with other devices. No. Well, first of all, Wayne's World, think about what you're asking. If one machine can't access DHCP, then that probably means all the machines can't access DHCP. I mean, you might have a situation where, like, if you had two switches and the interconnection between the switch was so that everything on one switch couldn't get to the other DHCP server. But see, that would almost be a clue right there, right? So if you had a situation where 5 machines are on APIPA and 6 machines are still running great, what could be happening there? And so when you see questions like that, you start grouping stuff. Anytime you group computers together with a LAN problem, that almost always points to a switch. Think about that, right? Remember, you can have 6 computers and 6 switches, each computer hooked to one switch. That would be a waste, but you could do it. So, Ken Sherman, do you prefer IPv6 over IPv4, or is it too soon? I love IPv6. I love IPv6. IPv6 makes all my troubles go away. The only thing IPv6 didn't really totally get rid of was subnetting, and even that, they make it a lot easier. So, yeah, I love IPv6. I would bet you that a lot of people could go off IPv4 now and not know it. There'd probably be a few things that would pop up. But most of the web servers are now all IPv6 capable, and most of your internet services are IPv6 capable. DNS is fully IPv6 populated now. Boy, that'd be an interesting... Ken, that would be a cool experiment. Maybe we ought to... I want to turn off IPv4 on my system and go pure IPv6 and watch what happens. Do you guys know how to turn off IPv4? Let me show you. Oops. No. Showed you my mess. Sorry about that. All right, let me bring this back up real quick. Here we go, network connections. All right, and we're back. All right, so network connections, change adapter options. I'm gonna find my, whatever I'm using here, go to properties. So, go to IPv4. See that right there? All you got to do is uncheck that box. I am not going to uncheck that box because this will end the live stream prematurely. But that would be all you have to do is uncheck that box. Pretty sure you'd have to reboot. And Ken, that would really be an interesting question. Could you be basically functional on the internet? Oh, I know where the problem would be. Most of your home routers, like this router back here, they're IPv6 capable, but most people don't turn it on. So you probably don't have IPv6 coming to your local machine. Yeah. But yeah, I'll bet that would work. That's a cool thing. Ken, do that for us. Tell us how it works. But make sure that you have a legitimate public IP address coming in, because otherwise you ain't going nowhere. All right, let's see what else we got going on out here. One CP classman, one DHCP is the domain of one group? No. I don't like your use of the word domain. And we don't say one DHCP. We would say one DHCP server would serve an entire broadcast domain. So when I say a broadcast domain, it's a LAN. So you'd have a bunch of computers all plugged into one switch, and then you have a DHCP server plugged in that one switch. That's as far as the broadcast goes. So one DHCP server per broadcast domain. In fact, this is a problem. What if somebody snuck in another DHCP server? So what they're doing is they start plugging in another wireless router, right? Just Bob in accounting. It's like, hey, we have a wireless here. So he brings a wireless router from home, right? And he plugs it into the wall at the office. And he's got wireless. Bob's wireless. And you can get on, and because it upstreams up into your network, you're on the internet. Problem is, that little router's passing out a second set of IP addresses, because it's also a DHCP server, passing that out on your network. We call that a rogue DHCP server. So and that's bad, because all of a sudden your internal network has always been 10.1.15, right? And all of a sudden some people are getting 192.168.1s. That's bad, because you only have one DHCP server. Otherwise it's a rogue, and that's what we call a bad thing. And CP Classman, the other mistake you're making is you're using a pronoun. And how can it communicate? Do you mean the DHCP server with another? It doesn't. One DHCP server only populates one broadcast domain. That's what you mean by domain. Okay, I got you, CP Classman. One DHCP server will only broadcast into the broadcast domain, which is a single network ID. And if there is another one, then it has its own DHCP server. What you'll see sometimes is called DHCP relay. I don't want to get into that. That's overkill. See, those are good questions are coming along there. Marnix, so how many sessions does the practice exam give you? As many as you want. As many as you want, Marnie. It's just go. Yeah, it's online. There's this huge bank of practice questions we've written, and you can take one test, practice test. You just want to do chapter 1 because you're going by the videos or the book. So you can set different time limits. You can do whatever you want. It goes into a practice mode or an exam mode. In the practice mode, I throw hints up if you want them, things like that. In exam mode, it's very much like the real exam. Thomas Herm, sadly my router blocks IPv6 ICMP, so it ends up slower. Can't turn that off? Most routers have usually it's under their stateless router settings or something like that, where it says block or unblock ICMP. Wouldn't PvP boy, wouldn't old games no longer, I'm sure some games that would require some manual aspect of IPv4 probably wouldn't work, but every time we have a new technology, another technology has to die, right? Oh, Tolwyn, what did you see that said Canon? Oh, you saw my lens cap. Is IPv4 or IPv6 faster? They're the same speed. Yeah, I'm 100% transparent. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't see my yoga pants. I'm kidding. I'm just wearing gym shorts. CP class man, send me an email. You and I need to talk mano y mano, amigo. I see some of the questions you're asking. Send me an email. We'll talk. PvP boy, I thought most businesses have multiple DHCP servers in case one goes down. Okay, there are situations where that happens, but let's say your network, PvP boy, pay attention, pen and paper. So let's say your internal network ID is 192.168.50, okay? And what you can do, and let's say you don't have that many systems, say under 100 systems. So you got 254 IP addresses to pass out under less than 100 systems. So what you do is you take one DHCP server and it'll pass out, what did I say, 192.168.4? What did I say? Well, whatever, I forgot. So one will be like 192.168.4 dot, it would be like, I don't know, 55 to 150, and the other DHCP server passes out 151 to 254. Do you get the idea? So you would have two DHCP servers in that situation, but they're passing out the exact same network ID, and they're not sharing the same address range. They've got their own separate ranges. So those do happen. That's true. Yeah, Scott Journeyman, please don't show off your yoga pants. Hey, dude, in 80 pounds, I'm going to be walking around like, you know, Mr. Fabulous. My challenge with choosing an IT job is that I like so many things, it's hard to choose a specialty. Well, you got to choose ye this day who ye shall serve, man. That's where you make the most money, is by, you know, some degree of specialty. Thomas Robinson, is all the IPv4 addresses gone? That's why we need IPv6. Well, yeah. Especially when we start to saw the proliferation of IoT devices, that's what really murdered us. So all the IPv4 addresses are gone. You can still get like a WAC 30 if you need it, or something like that, really small address range. So WAC 30 would be like 2 addresses. It's really interesting. For a lot of companies, having only 2 addresses is plenty, because you have one for the WAN side of your router and then one for whatever one server device you might have. But yeah, no, but IPv6 fixed a lot more than just a shortage of IP addresses. I mean, IPv6, you know, has better granularity, so subnetting is less of an issue. It uses router advertisements, so all the machines self-perpetuate. As we mentioned earlier, because of link local addresses, the concept of APIPA doesn't even make sense anymore. NAT really doesn't make sense anymore in a pure IPv6 environment. It just cleaned up a lot of stuff. So it's unfair to say that just running out addresses is what makes IPv6 great. It does a lot more than that, a lot more. Brendan S., what are some of the general types of questions that I could expect during an interview for a help desk position? Well, usually for help desk in particular, especially if they're providing knowledgeware, they're going to be looking for presentation and calmness. I've seen for help desk slots where they intentionally put you under high pressure situations just to see how you'll handle it. Let's face it, guys, IT help desk is level 1 entry-level jobs, and they tend not to be that hard. They can be grinding, though. So no, I don't think you'd be asked a lot of technical questions in those situations. You guys know what knowledgeware is? Knowledgeware is like, you know, so tell me about your problem. You type something in, and then they read it, they get answers are handed back to them. And what are the next questions to ask, kind of a thing. Yeah, there you go, PvP boy, you got it. Mr. Patel, what is your view of the Oracle Certified Associate? I'm not familiar with database stuff, so unfortunately I can't tell you anything. I'm very sorry. Angel Frias, will you ever do a Kali Linux class? You know, Angel, if you'd have been here, I guess it was 2 weeks ago when we did some of that Kali Linux. I mean, Kali by itself is nothing special, right? I can install any of those tool sets into anybody. It's just that Kali puts them all together for me. So what you're probably asking for, is my guess, is you're probably asking for more like you want to do a Metasploit demo or something like that, right? Or some kind of wireless hack demo or something like that. I don't know. It's not really on any of the CompTIA exams, so I'm trying to shy away from it. It is stuff that I play with on my own, but probably wouldn't make sense to do it in here, because that's just more like generic UniFirst nerd stuff. Sunray, USB ports interferes with, which, is this a question? USB port use interferes with Bluetooth keyboard, which has a USB Bluetooth dongle. As you can imagine, this is extremely annoying. Any idea? USB port. I got to think about that one. Daniel Ficker, my tester tomorrow. Thank you for all your help, unless I don't pass. All right, Daniel, real quick, this is just for you. Listen, dude, the number one reason that people fail CompTIA exams is test anxiety. So you got to be cool, okay? Also, keep in mind that CompTIA is notorious for putting what they call beta questions in these real-time tests. And they tend to put them right at the beginning, and it will shock you. So if you're taking any CompTIA test, and especially right at the beginning, you get 2, 3, 4 questions, and you're like, I have no idea what these are. Don't freak out. They're beta questions, okay? They're ungraded. They don't tell you which ones are beta and which ones aren't, so just go ahead and try to answer them as best you can. But I think CompTIA does a real disservice to their testers, because they see these questions right at the beginning of the test and they all freak out. And they say, oh, Mike Meyers is terrible, awful book, and his video stinks, and they just freaked out. So don't let beta questions throw you. The other thing is that some of the simulation questions can really drag your time down. So don't waste a ton of time on the simulations. I mean, go ahead and finish them. But what I fear is that a lot of people will end up spending, half of their time on simulation questions. They just lose track of where they're at. So watch your clock while you're doing the questions. That's really important. Other than that, most of their questions are pretty straightforward. I think they are. Keep in mind, CompTIA is also notorious for having very long questions where really only one sentence answers the whole thing. And a lot of times that throws people, because you're reading all this gobbledygook in the question, and then you see that answer, and you're like, well, it's got to be C. And you're like, well, no, wait a minute. CompTIA did put all this other information. Maybe I'm missing something. You probably aren't. And CompTIA does this all the time, so you just be cool, and trust yourself. Other than that, it's like standard multiple choice question. CompTIA questions are notorious for one question answering another question if you use it right. Take advantage of marking questions. Go through, answer all the questions the first time. Mark the ones you don't. Go through the second time. Deal with the marked questions, and so you have a question marked. Usually, if you have a question marked, it's because you got it down to 1 or 2. So it's, you got a 50-50 shot of already passing it. So, you go through and get those. And then the third time you go through a multiple choice exam is the ones that you're just guessing, and you make your best shot. And a lot of times a reread can be handy. But that's how you do it. So good luck to you, man. Man, I was really worried that you guys wouldn't have 2 hours worth of questions, and I'm very wrong. You guys are lots of great questions. Terrence Tech, the best place to start in help desk is CVS, Great Boot Camp. CVS, the pharmacy? Huh. The problem with Kali Linux is like handing a 3-year-old a bazooka. It can be really, really dangerous. To me, I'd rather talk about things like WPA cracking, or, you know what I mean, or trying to find exploits through a web browser, through, you know, something like that. I mean, those would be more interesting. But again, that's kind of outside of my teaching skill set. I'm not going to say no to it, but you guys are going to have to ask more. When I put a USB stick in the PC, it will freeze my keyboard and my mouse will seriously lag. Sunray, let me guess. Is your motherboard about 4 to 5 years old? There was a big problem with, okay, wait, first of all, Sunray, number one, is it if you put the same USB stick in or any USB stick? Question number two, can you plug it in other USB ports and it works, or is it just that one port that doesn't work? So you get those two things out of the way first. But also keep in mind that you almost certainly need a firmware update on your motherboard, especially if it's about 3 to 4 years old, because there was a big problem with the USB 3.0 and 3.1 drivers. There was a notorious issue under Windows 10. You need a firmware update and probably a driver update too. Those would be my quick guesses. Nah, don't rebuild. Mr. Batu, I'm a little confused. I have a cybersecurity degree. I want to know if I have to go straight to take Security Plus or A Plus before. You have a cybersecurity degree? You need to go get a job. You don't need any of this. When you say cybersecurity degree, you have a 4-year cybersecurity degree from a well-known university, you're already probably past A+. You might want to take Security Plus just to get up to speed, but you would probably, depending on what school you went to, you would already know this stuff. The certifications you'd be looking for is certified industry security personnel, and you know the GSIA certifications, and you know ethical hackers and all that kind of stuff. So you're probably already past Security Plus. Yeah, I'm also worried about, that's why I was saying move them around, because I was worried about a ground as well. And for the record, Angel, I like Kali. It's just, the reason I like Kali is because they pre-install all the tools for me. I mean, that's really the main reason I go to Kali. So any USB, all ports. Yeah, I would be looking at the drivers, and yeah. Try that, Sunray, and let me know what happened. I got a beautiful Asus motherboard that had some of the first generation USB 3.0 ports on it. They weren't full 3.1, and I ended up, you ready? Sunray, be ready for this as a possibility. Nobody ever, the certain chipsets, I don't remember which ones they were, I had to throw the motherboard away. Throw it away. I yanked out the CPU and the RAM, but it just, they're like, sorry, we're not going to fix it. So Terrence Tech, it was CVS. Okay, Terrence. Hey guys, check out CVS here in the States, and tell them Terrence Tech sent you. Oh, Waynesworth, I'm glad you're learning a lot. But we really covered all the bases today. We've been doing a lot of topical things, and but so yeah, this is an open field one, and it's worked out pretty good. But guys, it does look like we're running down towards the end of the day here. Hold on, what we got? We've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Terrence Tech, can you install hypervisor on a VM without needing a bare bones system? Absolutely, Terrence. Terrence, you've got Windows 10. Go get yourself Oracle. What's it called? Oracle VirtualBox. Oracle VirtualBox. Here. Let me show it to you. Oh, you don't want to see me. Here we go. So this is Oracle VirtualBox. It is a wonderful tool. It is 100% free. So you don't have to do manual. This is what you call a Type 2 hypervisor. And download this, install it. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing I ran into, and my buddy Brandon Swenson, Brandon S. here on the system, brought to my attention, is they're giving away two very different versions. There's a 6.0 version, which doesn't require virtualization support on your CPU, and with the 6.1, you have to have virtualization support on your CPU. Almost all CPUs have virtualization support, guys. The chances of you having a system that's 3 or 4 years old or younger that doesn't support virtualization is really small. Reboot your system, go into your system setup, poke around in there, look for virtualization support or VTX support or something. Just make sure it's enabled. Poof. And then you can download 6.1. 6.1 is a lot faster than 6.0, but it's the same interface, same features. It's just that it's got that one little thing that makes it kind of cool. So the answer to your question is, oh, heck yeah, you can. And in fact, if you want to pass A+, Net+, or Security Plus, you need to understand virtual machines. And, that's, man, I just cannot push VirtualBox enough. It's free, it's powerful, it slices, dices, makes julienne fries in seconds. So that's all you would need. Carnival, general PC slowdowns. And I cannot scroll. 7-year-old motherboard, processor. Time to replace hardware, or is there software? Anytime a system's slowing down a lot, if it's 7 years old, you're probably still running rotational media. You might want to consider an SSD. Assuming the motherboard supports it, it probably will be SATA. How much RAM do you have? When I hear general PC slowdown, the first thing I think is screwed up operating system. And if I reinstall Windows about once every 3 or 4 years, I just erase the system and then reinstall Windows. From scratch. Sometimes you got to clean stuff. Yeah, there's stuff like CCleaner out there and all that stuff. I don't like them. I don't dislike them. There's hidden bits of malware that nobody can find, and so to me, looking towards a faster hard drive, making sure your motherboard can support it before you buy anything. Adding RAM is always good, and reinstalling Windows. So for me, on most of my systems, I have usually an M.2 drive, and the only thing I do on that drive is install Windows. That's it. I'll probably have my user accounts in there, so my desktop and everything's on that drive, but then everything else is on a D drive. So if I install any programs or anything, I don't let them install by default on the first drive, the C drive. I'm going to install them all on this D drive, and that's what does all the heavy lifting. The big thing that makes that beneficial is that when it comes time to fix Windows, it often takes a lot less heat off me. There's a couple of hoops you're going to have to jump through if you would lose applications and things like that, possibly, but that's the way I would go. C Plasman, you sent me 2 emails. Did you actually say your name in there? Sorry, dude, I'll double check if I missed them. I apologize. Geraldine Berna, what are we learning tomorrow? We are going to learn the answers to the burning questions that you're going to provide me. And tomorrow, remember, we're not going Monday through Friday anymore, Geraldine. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but we're going to go 2 hours instead of 1 hour. I've had one request to do like a IP addressing from the ground up, but I'm hoping we can detail that out a little bit more so I can answer more specific questions. But that's all we've got on the burner right now. PvP Boy, is there a position that handles vendors like Dell, etc., like IT manager or something else? Is there a position that handles vendors? Yeah, but those are usually more managerial type positions. I mean, those are the ones you kind of got to work up to. Carnival reinstalls Windows once a year. Woof. And in that case, what are we learning for Wednesday? Geraldine, whatever you want me to talk about, babe. Just, you remember, one more time, here's my contact information. My goal here is to answer your all's questions. So I need you guys to send in questions or present them like we did today. I am here to help you guys. So you just let me know what your questions are, and I will be there to help you. Well, guys, it's 4 o'clock here in Houston. We burned a full 2 hours. I didn't think we'd do that. Guys, the questions were scrolling by pretty quick a few times there. I'm sure I missed a few. If I missed a question, it's no big deal. Remember, just come back on Wednesday and we'll do it all over again. Remember, we're offering 50% off all of our practice questions. All you have to do is use the code MMLive518. Go to TotalSem.com and find the practice questions you like, enter that code, and you get half off. So it's an amazing deal. And that's about it for today, guys. So unless there's anything else, I think we got it all pretty well covered, folks. I will see you guys on Wednesday at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Until then, this is your Uncle Mike saying good night. Good night.